Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you guys are from. Comment down below. I want to know where I'm being broadcasted. Where are you guys watching from? We're here in Canada. We're in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. And it is 9:58 p.m. Eastern Time, Eastern Standard Time. And we are about to have a thunderstorm. We're under a storm watch, apparently. And yeah, so that should be fun. So, where are you guys from? I know some of you are in the United States. I've talked to some of you who are in Australia. So, good day, mate. Some of you have been, well, I've looked on my back door of YouTube and it says some of my viewers have been from Russia. Wow. Das Vidanya. Am I saying that right? Is that good night? Anyways, just buying some time, waiting for you guys to come in here. So if you guys want, just chat among yourselves, make a comment, because your comments actually help the algorithms and help promote this video out to those who need to see it. So thank you so very much. Thank you for those who have decided to take a chance and just watch these videos, and thank you for your subscription, thank you for your likes, and thank you for taking the time to just meet with me here tonight and on the videos. Whenever you get a chance to watch these videos, I'm there along with you in spirit. So thank you for taking the time to meet with me. And hola, hello, howdy, good day, eh? So it's nice to see you, nice to meet you guys. If you guys have comments, questions, or suggestions that you don't want to ask publicly, as you want to remain somewhat private, well, then you are welcome to email me at my email address. I will get to your questions as soon as I can, usually within a few hours turnaround. So check your spam, because I've noticed that I have responded back, and I've asked my own questions and I get no response. So I'm assuming that the email got turfed to your spam. So if you want a response, I will respond. No cookie cutter program here. It is me, yours truly, responding to you. And you need to check your spam just in case your email turfs my email into your spam or trash. So now that we got that out of the way, good evening, good morning, good day, good night, hello. Not goodbye. Hello. How you doing? How is everyone tonight? I want to talk tonight about myth-busting narcissism, as there are some misconceptions that we have about narcissism, and the narcissists out there who are talking about their own narcissism. I mean, it's a good start, okay? It's a good start, but it's not the end all be all, because as I mentioned before, the narcissists that are promoting themselves on YouTube and social media as being the experts and the go-to people, I mean, it makes sense. What better person would there be to go to and ask about narcissism than going to the narcissist? It makes sense, right? Well, one thing we've got to understand is the narcissist does not think like you and me. Okay, the narcissist, as I mentioned in my other live earlier on today, the narcissist is stuck in their analytical mind, in their logical thinking ego that is focused on survival instincts. Those survival instincts are the sexual procreation instinct, recreational sex instinct, but also to flee the situation or fight the situation. And depending on what narcissist you are engaging in, either a covert, overt, grandiose, or vulnerable, you're going to get a narcissist. The vulnerable narcissist will probably flee rather than fight. So how they flee is they will avoid you. They will avoid certain topics. They will avoid your questions. They will be evasive. They will gaslight you and say, no, I didn't say that, didn't do that. They will change the subject. They will interrupt you because it's getting too hot in here for them. So your questions are hitting too close to home. So if they can't find an exit, they're going to interrupt, they're going to evade, dodge, and avoid conflict. But then there's the grandiose, the malignant narcissist who want to fight. And they will bait you and engage in that fight with you because they have to win that argument in order to hang on to and maintain their sense of superiority. So you're ready to do some myth busting about narcissism, because there is one myth going around that, narcissism is inherently unhealthy and problematic, which it is, but to give credit where credit is due, narcissism comes from or is seen in childhood. So we all express narcissism in some way. Now, there's healthy and unhealthy. Narcissism is basically, the healthy form of narcissism is to look at life with a bit of what is termed rose-colored glasses, that you see your reality as you see your reality, not necessarily as it is, but how you see reality, you kind of have a healthy outlook of life, and you progress in life negating what you see on the outside in order so that you can achieve what you want in this world. Now that may sound narcissistic, and it is, but there's a twist. You see life as you see it, but you're also aware of how other people see life, as the territory in your mind is not the same viewpoint as everybody else's. Everybody has their own viewpoint of reality, and you are respectful of that. That's a really important thing here, is that the healthy form of narcissism doesn't malign and undermine other people. You're respectful of what other people say, think, and do. And sometimes you will even stop what you're doing because you don't want to hurt other people. You may, for example, you may have this idea of climbing the corporate ladder. Okay, so you're doing everything you can for yourself. You're studying, you're, working and taking tests. You are educating yourself. And that means that you don't have time for certain things. Like, you don't have time, you can't make time for your friends, because right now this is your future you're thinking about, which is a good thing. And so your friends are on the sidelines, okay? And you're willing to sacrifice that for a time, but you're not willing to sacrifice that and forsake your friends and family. You still do the best that you can and make time out for them. And while you're climbing the corporate ladder, you recognize that there's people in your job title or your workforce who are vying for the same position you are. And you're willing to go after what you want ethically and morally. And if it means stepping on other people's toes and hurting them in the process, sorry, you won't do that. That's not what you signed up for. And, you know, if you, you know, say you had a lower score, and so your boss said, well, you know, Shannon, you did well on this test, but there was somebody else, your coworker got a higher score, so we have to go with the higher score. They've got, you know, they're better suited for the job than you. Well, you ethically would accept that. Even though you used your narcissism and you spend all that time sacrificing, you know, your friends and your family, spending time with them, you sacrificed in order to do well on this test, and you did well, but you just didn't cut the mustard. Well, you're not willing to sit there and badmouth your opponent or your coworker in order for you to get the job. You're not willing to gaslight, malign, and undermine, but a narcissist would. So there is a difference between healthy narcissism and unhealthy narcissism. So that is something that we need to bust that myth right now, because everybody as kids expressed healthy narcissism, healthy narcissism. Blah. Everybody has a bit of healthy narcissism in them, and it stems from childhood. But we also have unhealthy childhood narcissism that most of us grow out of. But the unhealthy narcissist as an adult, they didn't grow out of it, because they are a stunted child in an adult's body. And that comes to the next myth busting truth about narcissism, is that narcissists often feel and think the same way that we do. No, they don't. They don't have the same range of emotions as we do, as they are not capable of, you know it, empathy. Empathy is this it's the glue that allows us to feel love. It's the glue that allows us to sympathize and empathize and see somebody's viewpoint other than our own, where a narcissist cannot see somebody else's problems from the perspective of the other person. The narcissist is cut off. It's like, how do I explain this? It's like there is nothing in them that would show genuine empathy. They cannot express genuine empathy. They mirror empathy. They mimic what they see empathy looking like. And they know what empathy kind of looks like from going back into their childhood. There's that imprinting of empathy where their mom or dad said, no, Tommy, you can't hit your brother. No, Tommy, you hurt your feelings by, taking your brother's toy. Now give it back to them. There's an imprinting, but that imprinting hasn't gotten into their heart where they can really sincerely empathize with somebody else and say, boy, I made my brother feel bad. No, a narcissist is, I made my brother feel bad. Sucks to be him. It's a power trip when the narcissist can make us feel bad and we emotionally express that bad feeling, because the narcissist wants us to evoke those bad feelings and express them, because the narcissist sees bad feelings as being weak. And so if we express those weak feelings, then to the narcissist, we appear inferior. And in a 2013 published article in the Medical Science Monitor, as I've said in another video a few days ago, is that with the narcissist at the age of 20, the area where empathy is expressed in the brain atrophies. And this cannot be regrown, even though the brain has plasticity, meaning that you can regenerate neurons and synapses. The fact is, this one area of the brain where empathy is held, it atrophies, and you cannot get it back. It's just impossible. And so this is also the area where the self-reflection processes happen, and this lack of, like, the narcissist cannot self-reflect. So this is where you see empathy, because it's how we empathize with somebody else is we put ourselves in the person's perspective, and we think, well, gee, I wouldn't want that to happen to me, so here I'll go and help them, or I'll apologize sincerely. I didn't mean to hurt their feelings. And you try to right the wrong in genuine accountability, as you take genuine responsibility for the wrongs that you commit, right? Well, with the narcissist, there's nothing of that. It's like they cannot self-reflect. So if they cannot self-reflect in a way that has them genuinely feel bad about the things that they say and the things that they do, this self-reflection, because there's no empathy there, this brings about shame. And the narcissist will avoid shame as far, they will avoid feeling shame. And when they start to feel shame, they will project that onto you and cause you to feel shame. They will shame you. They will belittle you in order to project, because it's like they're trying to get rid of their feelings by causing you to feel what they're feeling. And if they can see how bad you feel, and they can compare their actions and their reactions to their own shame and see how you possibly react and act differently and worse than how they did and their shame, so therefore they can feel better about themselves because, well, I'm not so bad. So there's a misconception that the narcissist thinks like you do. They don't. And often, and I'm going to speak for myself, because when I was not yet confident in myself and in who I was and in who I am, most of us who are traumatized by narcissists, many of us don't know ourselves to our entirety. I mean, it's going to take us our lifetime to figure that out, but by and large, we don't have a secure sense of self. We're not confident in our decision makings. We're not confident in leaning into our own abilities and our own ideologies and our own opinions and thoughts and beliefs. We haven't learned to trust ourselves yet. So we allow a narcissist to come into our lives to kind of lead and guide us and help us out with things that we can't do on our own. And so for me, I've had this misguided understanding that if I just loved the narcissist enough, if I was just patient enough with them, if I just, didn't, just don't say anything and just take the hit, if I just, take the emotional backlash, if I just, grin and bear it, if I just let them be who they need to be because they just don't understand, then maybe eventually they'll see how they have hurt me, how they're continuing to hurt me, and they'll have this aha moment, and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, Shannon, I hurt you. I can't believe I did that." And then they would right the wrong, and we would ride off into the sunset together and have this beautiful relationship. No, I'm telling you, that's a myth. That's never going to happen. You cannot love the narcissist enough. You cannot be patient enough with them. You cannot be forgiving enough with them. You cannot be lenient enough with them. They will take advantage of every kindness and empathy and mercy and grace that you offer them. They will take advantage of it because they can't see it, because it's not in them. See, you can't see what you can't see, and you can't know what you don't know. So a narcissist, even if you try to share with them what you see in them, they'll take offense and they'll get mad, they'll get angry, they'll rage, and they will gaslight you, and they will manipulate you into, like, you'll be questioning yourself and saying, why did I even bother? Why did I even share this with them? I came at them loving, and I just wanted to help them, but they don't see that. They're accusing me now of some awful things and making me like sound like the villain. And that's not what my intention was. And now they're the victim, and that's what narcissists do. They love to play the victim because they absolutely cannot take constructive criticism. Anything that you say that they think is negative, they will hold you to the wall with it because they don't have any empathy. They cannot self-actualize, and they cannot have this self-awareness about themselves that has anything to do with self-reflection in the way of growth. Like, a narcissist doesn't sit there and self-reflect on their comings and goings during the day and say, gee, I could have done that better, and gee, I could have treated that person better, gee, I shouldn't have said that, I think I need to go apologize, I think I need to make it up to that person, I don't want to lose them. No, a narcissist their idea is, you're in my life, whether it's my choice whether I want to stay in your life or not, and I can come and go at any time, and it's a privilege for you to be in my company. So, if you want to stay, go ahead. If you want to leave, there's the door. And they kind of hold that over your head, knowing that the thought of you leaving or them leaving you scares the bejesus out of them. Like, I used to have my ex-husband, every time we got into a fight or a disagreement, not really a fight, but a disagreement at the beginning of our marriage, or even when we were courting for marriage, he'd say, well, I guess you want a divorce. I guess we should divorce then. I guess we should just break up then. That is abuse. But the narcissist holds that over your head in order to get you to acquiesce, in order for you to enable their bad behavior. So please don't think that the narcissist thinks like you. They don't. They can't. They have no empathy. So that is the second myth of narcissism, that they are like you. They are not like you. They're not they lost their humanity when they forsook and made the decision to follow the ways of evil. They forsook empathy, which is a marker in unconditional love that makes us human, that makes us compassionate towards one another. Somebody who betrays another human being and gets their kicks off of that's some kind of diabolical human being right there. Just plugging in my phone here. So, like, they've lost the compassion. And this cannot be stressed enough. I mean, you've heard me say it so many times. I'm sure you've heard it said in other videos and other people's, understanding about narcissism, but this cannot be said enough. Understanding that a narcissist does not have empathy, this is your weapon. This is your shield. This is part of your armor, understanding that the narcissist cannot care about you like you care about them. That understanding alone will take you far in protecting your heart and your mind and your soul from the narcissist. So another myth about narcissism is that a narcissist believes that they are better than others. Now, in the DSM-5, that's the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Psychology, what's that, version 5? It's stated or stipulated that how you can tell that someone has a narcissistic personality disorder is that they have an overweening sense of they have a higher or a heightened sense of self-esteem, like they pride themselves, like their ego is just beyond measure. But that is a coping mechanism. They hide behind this superiority complex. It appears like the narcissist assumes or thinks that they are superior than you. But no, it's a cover, because the actuality and the truth of it is that they feel inferior, so they hide behind that sense of superiority. They have a hard time living life on their own merit. They need you to give them accolades and pump up their ego. And they have this inflated sense of self that covers up what they're really feeling, as they feel like they are they have these insecurities, as my opinion, and it's my opinion and my experience of dealing with narcissism and dealing with those of us who have been targets of narcissism, that the narcissist is a fearful individual, and they instill fear in their targets and their victims. And they make us feel fearful, because when you're fearful, you can be controlled. And the narcissist is fearful of feeling rejected. And so they don't want to feel rejected and abandoned. excuse me, so they put on airs. They have this inflated ego, this inflated self of superiority, like they're better than everybody else, because that's their coping mechanism. It helps them to, they delude themselves, and they're gaslighting themselves. They lie to themselves, pretending that, well, you know, the reason why so and so doesn't like me is because I'm so much better than they are. You know, they're beneath me. It's a way that they can convince themselves, coerce themselves, gaslight themselves into believing something that they are not. And it's a way that they can avoid feeling our rejection when we say, no, thank you. No, I don't subscribe to that. I don't think we would make good friends. I don't think we're a good match for a relationship. I'm sorry. They can't handle that. Because in order, like I've said before, in order for this sense of ego, this inflated sense of ego, this superiority, they need your attention. And without your attention, it doesn't work. And that's why they jump from person to person to person, and they have people on the sidelines, and they have like an entourage around them, because we're not always, it's human nature. It's impossible to be at somebody's beck and call all the time. It's impossible to build somebody up all the time. And normal people, we don't go around complimenting everybody or our friends and family all the time. Like we give credit where credit is due, but we're satisfied. We ourselves don't need to be told, oh, your hair looks so lovely today, or those are awesome jeans, or, you know, I really like how you made this meal. You're such a good cook. Can you cook for me again? Like, I want you to cook for me every night. Like, we don't need compliments steady. Yeah, it's nice to be complimented on a good meal, but every single meal is good? Well, that's great. That's nice, but getting complimented all the time gets boring. But the narcissist wants that, but it's impossible, because we're not thinking like that. Our minds are not fixated on the narcissism of, oh, I've got to cater to them, and I've got to, you know, tell them that their hair looks good, and I got to tell them that they did good on the test, even though when they did poorly. I got to tell them that this meal tastes really good, even though they burnt the sausage. You know, I've got to tell them that their driving skills are impeccable, even though they ran the red light and almost caused an accident a couple of days ago. We're not thinking of puffing up the narcissist all the time, but that's what their mind is fixated on. Their mind is constantly fixated on looking at our defects, if you want to call them that. There are flaws, our idiosyncrasies that they may not like, but our idiosyncrasies are what make us unique and quirky and separate us from other individuals. These are good things about us, flaws and all. Like, we should be able to laugh at our flaws. We should be able to laugh at our mistakes and say, oh, okay, I can do better. Like, sometimes, like, you guys should see my goof reels, like my reels when I do a video and I'm videotaping myself, not on live, but I'm just taping myself on video. I mean, my goof reels, I flub up and I'll say something, or, you know, I'll sneeze or cough and drop water on myself, or, you know, have my hair in my face or poke my eye. You know, like, it's goofy, but it's funny. And it's fun to laugh at yourself, because that is what helps us to not take life so seriously. But with the narcissist, oh, it's serious, because it's personal. And if you accept the narcissist into your life, they will take your acceptance as personal as you then need or should be able to read their minds and puff them up whenever they need it. They should not have to tell you. You should just be at their beck and call, ready at the compliments whenever they need it. And when you don't do that, their world crumbles. And when you don't do that, if there isn't anybody around, they will fight back. They will start arguments just to make you feel inferior, because they're not getting that compliment from you, or those compliments from you that puff them up and puff up their ego. Well, I gotta get that somewhere. So then they poke and push your buttons, and they cause you to trigger on purpose. It's called reactive abuse. They abuse their positions of power in their relationship with you, and they abuse the intimate knowledge that they have about you, and they use it against you to push your buttons, to get you to trigger into a negative response. And so when you appear negative in front of them, that's when they say, oh, I'm better than they are. See, look at them. They're crazy. They're the unstable ones. Look at them. Oh my gosh. And in their mind, they've got this hamster wheel going on as they ruminate, as they look at you. Just watch how they look at you. They just peer at you like, yeah, see, I got you dead to rights. I knew you would trigger. I knew you're not better than me. Even though you're not giving them compliments, your negative emotions that you express due to them pushing your buttons gives them the emotional high that they need, because your negative emotions complement their stoicism and their ego, and it feeds into their delusion that they are so much better. So keep that in mind. Now, another myth is that pathological narcissism cannot be overcome, but this is seen as a myth, but I'm going to deny that. I'm going to say that that is, it's becoming apparent with this lack of empathy. If narcissists do not have empathy, and like I said, you can't gain that back. You can't train and teach somebody how to be empathetic in the way of genuine sympathy and compassion and mercy for somebody else. So there's this myth that some psychologists are saying that, oh yes, narcissism can be overcome. No, it can't. And the reason being is because the narcissist cannot self-reflect. They cannot put themselves in somebody else's shoes to empathize with somebody. The narcissist does not think like you and I. They don't express the same emotions like you and I, in the way of, okay, so they can cry, they can feel fear, they can feel terror, they can feel sadness, they can feel joy, they can feel happy. But a lot of these emotions that they feel are superficial, and they're not inherent, like in the way of, joy. With joy, like they can express happiness, but joy is of the Lord. The joy of the Lord is our strength. And that is something that comes right from God. And when you have joy, you want to share that joy. You don't want to hoard it all for yourself. You want other people to feel joy with you. And that's the point. Like, have you ever had the opportunity to, like, for example, a birthday party? When you invite other people to your birthday party, you are sharing in your joy with your friends and family. Everybody is participating in that joy. But the narcissist, they can't have joy. They want to hog all the accolades. They want to hog all the attention, and they want to hoard all the happiness for themselves, because they're not happy that you are happy, because it takes away from their need of feeling superior. Because in order to feel superior, they need your attention. And if your attention is off of them, then automatically they slip into this depreciating emotion that has them feel deep, dark shame. So narcissism cannot be overcome. It can be managed with cognitive therapy and other modalities of therapy, but it cannot be cured. There is no cure to narcissism other than turning to God for deliverance. And in order for that to happen, the narcissist has to admit that they have flaws, that they are flawed in design, that they need work, that they have some behavioral issues that need to be managed, that need to be corrected. And because there's no empathy, the narcissist cannot self-reflect. So anytime you say, okay, you've got a problem there in your behavior, they're going to turn to offense. They're going to get offended, and they are going to rage, and they will probably not talk to you again for a long time. In the case if you're a therapist, they might change therapists. They might, and then some of them might even give you a bad review. So that's something to keep in mind as well. If you guys have questions, comments, or suggestions, or myths of your own that you want to talk about, please feel free, comment down below, and we can discuss this. We are here to learn. Now, there are common myths about narcissism, that narcissists are people too. Well, and that they're not evil. Well, I'm sorry, but as much as I don't want to say this, this has been my experience and experiences of other people, that if a narcissist, we're going to dig deep into the spiritual aspects of it here, that, and I've said this in other videos, that psychologists want to say that this is a behavioral disorder. This is a character trait that goes right back to Genesis, where God says to the enemy who provoked Adam and Eve from disobeying God's direct order. They had one rule. And the enemy came in and said, did God really say that you will die? And he tricked them. And God said to the enemy, I will put enmity between your seed and hers, meaning Eve's seed, children. The enemy's children are all over this world. And we got to figure that out. And by the word of God says, by the fruits you will know them. Like, we have to know people by the spiritual fruit. The spiritual fruit of God is patience, peace, forbearance, self-control, and love. Well, we can see the sour grapes of the enemy: coercion, manipulation, gaslighting, lying, cheating, stealing, emotionally and physically doing harm to people on purpose, knowingly and willingly. That's not the heart of a loving human being. That's a betrayal. That's a betrayal of human species, to go against humanity like that, you've sold your soul. And maybe some narcissists gladly did, but or maybe they didn't even know it. But through their actions, they will be known. And you can't trust a narcissist. You can't. I've said this many times. Don't turn your back on them. Because, you know, even if you're in the same room with them, they could be mouthing back, you know, you're having a conversation and you turn your back to them. It's like that. It's the stereotypical kid who backtalks the parent in front of their friends when the parent's back is turned and the kid is going, and the parent turns to face them and they're like, and the parent's like, what was that? What were you doing? Nothing. It's a form of mockery. And narcissists love to mock the good. And there's a myth going around that, you know, if a narcissist is, are they loyal? There's a myth going around saying that all narcissists cheat. Well, some do and some don't, but just because the narcissist is not having sexual relations with somebody doesn't mean that they're not emotionally cheating with someone on you. Like, forming an emotional bond with somebody else that the narcissist should be forming an emotional bond with you is cheating. And that's the thing. The narcissist cannot emotionally bond with us. And they, again, they gaslight, they coerce, they use love bombing techniques in order to lead us to believe that they are emotionally bonding with us, but they're not. And a narcissist has 3 needs. They run on these 3 things. They're either in fight or flight mode, or they're in a hypersexual mode. And all these are self-preservation. This is from their reptilian brain, the primitive brain. You know, narcissists will either fight in the way of they will be combative, or they will flee, avoid, they will reject, they will deny, they will gaslight, they will avoid, they will evade, they will stonewall, they will ignore, or some narcissists really have this, they have this desire in them where they just get their loosh from you through sexual activity. Now, it's been my experience that most narcissists cheat. Now, if they haven't cheated with you, it's just a matter of time. They've probably cheated with somebody else, and they will probably cheat with somebody after you. They may just never not have the opportunity to cheat with somebody else while they were with you. Doesn't necessarily mean that they won't cheat, because a narcissist has, say with me, no empathy. So if there's no empathy, there's no filter, there's no governing filter to help them determine what is right and what is wrong and what is healthy, what is good behavior, what is bad behavior. They know what is good and bad behavior. They just don't freaking care. They want to do what they want to do. They want to have fun. And your rules, your stipulations in the relationship, whether that be spoken or unspoken, you're not allowing the narcissist to have their fun. You're acting like a mommy or daddy figure. No fun. You're putting me under your thumb. No fair. Yeah. I want to have my fun. I want to do what I want to do. So, having sex and cheating is a real turn on for a narcissist. Given the opportunity, they will cheat. They will flirt. They will flirt. They will get somebody's phone number. And they'll tell on themselves. I mean, I had my ex-husband tell me, and this was before I knew what narcissism was, but he told me, oh yeah, I got somebody's, I got a girl's phone number at the bar just on a dare, for the guy I was with the guys at the rig, and we went to town and we had a few beers, and they were all talking amongst themselves, and there was this girl there, and they couldn't get the girl, but I dared them that I could. And I just went, what? So it went, it hurt me, but he's like, oh, I didn't do anything. Do I believe that he didn't do anything? No, because you can't trust a narcissist. Just because they say they didn't cheat, they probably have cheated, because your definition of cheating and their definition of cheating is totally different. They can have sex with somebody and not have feelings for them. So then it's not cheating. It's just physical. But you're emotionally invested in the narcissist. You expect, okay, you're not going to cheat. You're not going to go emotionally invest yourself with somebody else, because that's, to you, that's what sexual intimacy is. It's not just a physical act. It's involving your emotional intimacy as well. Well, to the narcissist, it's not cheating because there's no emotional investment. It's just a thing that humans do. So when someone says, if somebody asks the narcissist, have you cheated? Just understand that the definition of cheating for you is different than the narcissist. And just the intent of cheating, of putting up, I've had this experience where my ex-husband put online, he went to a dating app and he put up a profile. And he said that he never cheated. Well, he never found anybody, but it was the intent. He was looking for somebody. So that in itself is cheating, but he said, no, I didn't cheat because I didn't have sex with anybody. And it's like, no, you intended to cheat. That's just as bad as cheating. So again, the narcissist does not think like you. So you have to be wise. The Bible says, be innocent as the dove and shrewd as the snake. You got to start thinking like the narcissist if you want to win them, not win them over, but win at their game. And I'm talking about winning at their game, meaning preventing yourself from getting hurt from their things that they do. You've got to start understanding how a narcissist operates and what they think and how they think. Because, yeah, a narcissist, they're not loyal. You can understand that just by the things that they say about people behind their back. When a narcissist is talking about someone in a negative, derogatory way to you, there's no loyalty with even their friends. They'll put their friends under the bus. I've had narcissists call their friends some really horrible names, and I've turned around and said, how can you say that? They're your friend. You know, I've said, okay, so this person is your friend, correct? Yeah, we're good friends. Well, then why are you calling them names? Why are you telling me the secrets that I shouldn't know? Why are you triangulating me and trying to, share with me their secrets in attempts to get me not to become friends with them? And the narcissist just shut right up. And they stopped talking about their friends with me because I don't stand for it. Like, that's not friendship behavior. Yeah, you can talk about, my friend did this and it's upset me. How should I go about, and, how do I talk to my friend about it? You can, that's not gossiping. That's not back talking. That's just trying to figure something out. But when a narcissist comes to you and says, that person, they're an a-hole, that person is this, that person has done this, in order to get you to, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, and so you distance yourself away from that person? No. It's called triangulation. Don't fall for it. A narcissist is not loyal, even among their friends. So if they're not loyal among their friends, they're not loyal with you in a romantic relationship. And if you've noticed that they talk bad about their friends to you, they're talking bad about you to their other friends. And this is in attempts to get you and your friends to never meet and to never swap stories. And this happens among family members too. I've had the experience of in-laws. An in-law, she triangulated me against her family members, and this is at a time where I didn't know what narcissism was, and it caused her family members and myself conflict, and we just stayed away from each other for years until there was a crisis in the family, and the family members got in touch with me to figure out and to find out what was going on and to find out the truth. And we all then started talking, and we figured out, holy shiitake mushrooms, the things that were said about us by this in-law, by the mother figure. Narcissists cannot be trusted. They seriously can't. Don't turn your back on a narcissist. Don't tell them your secrets, because they will use it against you, and they will tell your secrets to somebody else. I've been told some really, really bad secrets about people. And the narcissist has had their own secrets, and they have divulged it to me. And I can't believe. Hi, Garden of Love. How are you? Nice to see you. Yes, they are ugly inside out. I read a long time ago, and I cannot find this scripture again. And I'm thinking it was in the New King James or the King James Version Bible, but I can't find it. But I remember reading somewhere where God does say that, the ugliness of the enemy will be exposed as their, who they look like is ugly to people, and that reflects their hearts. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but yeah, like once you see the ugliness of the narcissist, they're no longer beautiful or handsome. It's like they're just twisted and ugly and slimy. Like they just ooze that ick factor. Really, they do. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So I personally have been apprised as the narcissist confided in me about their secret dealings. And thank you. You know, this person just shared with me the secrets that I had no knowledge of. And I found this out after our marriage was over. But it's like, oh, like, who was I married to? Like, the sexual deviance of a narcissist holds no bounds. Like, there's, and again, it goes back to they lack empathy. So if there's no empathy in them, they can't sympathize, they can't have compassion, they can't self-reflect, they can't say, oh gee, I better not do that, because, you know. And the thing of it is, some of them are Christian, or Christian in quotes, where they have read the laws of God. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not, take the Lord thy God, the name of God in vain. Thou shalt not lie with a man like you do a woman. Thou shalt not cheat, and fornicate and jump from bed to bed to bed to bed to bed, but they know these rules, but somehow those rules don't apply. And I guess they don't, because they're not believers. The Holy Spirit has departed from their hearts because they have no empathy. And, it's surprising still, but yet it's not. The depravity. And the myth that narcissists can be good people, the myth that, oh, we should give them the benefit of the doubt, they're trying the best that they can, and oh, they've got a behavioral problem, and they've got mental issues, and they've got comorbidity, meaning that, oh, they're not just dealing with narcissism, give them a break, they're on medication, they've been diagnosed as bipolar, they've been diagnosed as borderline personality, they've been diagnosed as, a psychopath or schizophrenic. I'm sorry, but that doesn't give the person the right to usurp somebody else's right to safety. I mean, you cheat with somebody and you share your body with somebody, some stranger, outside of the committed relationship you have with somebody else. I mean, you're breaking a trust. And then you're bringing home that whatever you possibly could pick up from that other person, that stranger, you're bringing that home to the person who does care for you, the person who claims to love you and honors their vows. And the narcissist doesn't even care about that. Like, this all goes back to a lack of empathy. Oh, so what does your neighbor do, Garden of Love? they say that they have a neighbor who drives them nuts. I had a neighbor who was a narcissist, and yeah, it's really like, oh my gosh, the things that they will do, like, you know, like fence lines and legal border lines of the property line. They'll just try to, they won't go over the property line, but they'll do something, plant a tree, make a fence, or, you know, whatever it is, they'll just try to go over and try to see how far they can get, you know. Like, I remember growing up where my parents or the neighbors would consult with my parents, and they would go halves on, you know, a fence between the houses, and my parents and the neighbors would come together and discuss what kind of fence they all can agree on. Not just having a neighbor arbitrarily put up a fence that's an eyesore, that's, you know, a mix of this wood and that wood, rotted wood and whatever, and we'll use wrought iron and we'll use metal, we'll use whatever kind of material we can find, just so that it like, some neighbors are, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. Dealing with a spouse or a friend who is a narcissist is just enough. Even like a freaking family member who is a narcissist, that's enough. And you know, there's so many myths out here, and like, just reading on Psychology Today, myth number 4, all narcissists are master manipulators. This is somebody's opinion, and, you know, if a narcissist is not manipulating you, they are manipulating somebody else. And they manipulate the law, they manipulate contracts, they manipulate your ideas, they manipulate your emotions, they manipulate your children, they manipulate reality. They are master manipulators. Absolutely, they are. And like I said, you can't trust them. So, she lives above me. Yes, borderline. I think found loud sex, terror, question mark, BDSM. Ooh, stomping. I cannot be in my home sometimes. All I'm going to say, I relate. Totally relate. Totally. That's all I'm going to say. And it's, you know, the loudness of sex is like, they want, it feels like they want you to know. Because again, that feeds into their superiority complex of, and you are indirectly an audience to that. And yeah, there's nothing holding a narcissist back. The only thing that holds a narcissist back is your boundaries, your no. Your moral compass is what holds the narcissist back in the relationship. And because of that, that is also what helps them or causes them to go stray and find it somewhere else and then come home to you. And by your moral boundaries, they come home to you willingly because they know you're safe. They know that they're not going to get any backlash from you. They know that your body is clean, you're safe, you're not going to do anything, so they don't have any problems to worry about with you. So, yeah, they love to annoy. You know, stomping around, slamming doors, slamming cupboards, yelling, being loud. I mean, have you ever noticed that narcissists are just loud by nature? Like, they really cannot be quiet. It's like being quiet is not in their nature. It's weird. It's really weird. And I think it just goes with, they need an audience. If they're awake, then everybody else has to be awake, you know? It's like, it's just, they're annoying, you know? They take away your peace. Now, there's another myth that here all narcissists are predators. That's a myth? No, that's a reality, that narcissists are predators. They prey on people. They look for the vulnerabilities in us that lack self-confidence. And they look for, they're predatory in the way of, they look for monetary gain. They look for public clout. If you have made a name for yourself, well, then they'll rub shoulders with you in hopes that they can meet the people, the famous people or the popular people that you know, so that they can gain friends. And this again feeds into their superiority complex. And then they'll go to their own friends and start name dropping. Oh yeah, I met so-and-so. Oh yeah, I met Dolly Parton. And oh yeah, I met the guy from Real Steel. And it's, yeah, so what, you met them? Doesn't mean anything. You know, but they think that, you know, it's just, it's hard to comprehend, because the long and the short of it is, we do not think like a narcissist, and they don't think like us, so it's hard to figure out where they're coming from half the time. But you know, the thing is, the narcissist is who they are, whether they are male or female. They carry the female, they carry the familiar spirit. The familiar spirit is a murderous spirit. The familiar spirit is the lying spirit. The familiar spirit is the Judas spirit. And many people say that, you know, the Jezebel spirit is the narcissist spirit. Yeah, but let's not dismiss Judas. Judas betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. Don't you dare believe that the narcissist has your back. No, they don't. They will betray you for less. They will betray you and throw you under the bus when it's convenient, especially if it gets them something that they need and want. They will betray you for money. They will betray you for fame. They will betray you for sex. They will betray you just because. So, I hope this dispels some of the myths that you might have about narcissism, because just because there are different degrees, or there's different narcissisms out there, meaning there's the covert, the overt, the Machiavelli, the psychopathic, the dark triad, the malignant narcissist. As far as I'm concerned, there's just varying degrees of narcissism. There's the weak narcissist, and there's the extremely strong narcissist, where they are, so diabolical. They're I got to be careful what I say here on YouTube. They will unalive you if you're not careful. It's been my experience that narcissists like strong people. They like confident people. But also in that confidence, they're looking for weak areas in us. And there are weak areas. We all, and I'm speaking from experience, when you have gone through some sort of trauma, especially childhood trauma, you have had to deal with life on your own, and you have basically had to raise yourself in some sort of way, and you have not had the confidence of your parents to lead and teach and guide you correctly. And so the narcissist looks for that. They look for weak areas in your confidence, and they exploit that. And the weaker narcissists, the vulnerable narcissists, they look for certain types of people who have certain types of, weaknesses. Because your weaknesses make them strong. So if the vulnerable narcissist is, let's say, somebody who appears to be wealthy and appears to have all this wealth, they will look to somebody who is not as wealthy as them in order to puff up their ego and make their ego convince themselves that they are the wealthiest and nobody else can match their wealth. Your lack of wealth makes them feel superior to you. But yet, when you start gaining skills to become wealthier, as you get a new job or you take certain courses so that you can move up the corporate ladder, then there's a problem. And they will turn on you. They may, because the vulnerable narcissist is so weak, they may just leave. They may just detach themselves from you and devalue you and discard you and just find somebody else. Yes, exactly, Garden of Love. They are jealous. They are dangerous. You cannot make more money than them. You cannot have more friends than them. You cannot be more popular than them. You cannot have better clothes than them. You cannot look nicer. You cannot sound more kind and more loving than them. You cannot drive a superior car than them. I mean, it's so superficial. It's sick. But yet they don't do anything to empower themselves in the way of learning and growing. They don't do anything to learn. They don't do anything to improve themselves in a way that really matters. So when you're dealing with a stronger narcissist that is more like somebody who's not considered a vulnerable narcissist, but maybe a malignant narcissist. Like the vulnerable, you may see that they'll love bomb you, they'll throw all the tactics at you of narcissism, they'll gaslight you, but their gaslighting is like, oh, I was just joking, or they'll make light heart of their gaslighting. But a malignant narcissist, their gaslighting is more diabolical, where it's not posed as a joke. It's posed as, you know, maybe trying to scare you, and they'll gaslight you in a way that makes you think that you are going crazy. So a vulnerable narcissist may not necessarily take your keys. They'll just joke about you in a bad way, and you'll say, that's not funny, I don't like that, that's insulting me. And they'll say, oh, I was just joking, can't you take a joke? But a malignant narcissist will play jokes on you where they'll take your keys or take important papers that you set on the counter, and they'll hide them or keep them away from you, where you're like, have you seen my keys? Have you seen those important bank papers? I've got an appointment with the bank tomorrow morning. No, haven't seen them. And yet they did something with them. That's kind of how the narcissism works. Like, you're going to see different variances of the narcissistic repertoire. You're going to see the varying degrees of it in the varying degrees of narcissism. And that's what makes it so confusing. I know for me, you know, I went into this, okay, so I got a narcissistic ex-husband, okay, fine, deal with that. And then I go into the dating world and I meet a narcissist, but he didn't really love bomb me, or I didn't really see the love bombing because I didn't recognize the love bombing in my ex-husband. So it's like I was dealing with the narcissist in my dating life, didn't really see it, dated them for almost a year, coming out of it, had to deal with the cognitive dissonance, had to deal with the trauma bond, had to deal with the brainwashing and undo all of that. And then when I was healed of that, I went into the dating scene again thinking, okay, I can do this. Met another narcissist, dated them for a little while, got myself into trouble because I thought, well, I can see this red flag, I can see this mannerism, I can see this gaslight, I can handle it. No, I didn't handle it. And it took me a while of dating different types of narcissism in order to really see that they play by the same handbook. They have the same tools in their narcissistic toolkit. It's just varying degrees. And now I'm like, okay, there's certain questions I ask, and I see the narcissistic answer. I don't pass go. I don't give them a second chance. I just like, no, we're not a good fit. Sorry, thank you. Thank you for the date. Thank you for the dinner. No. And if they ghost me, well, of course. It's just like moving on, not sitting there giving into the texts and saying, why are you not talking to me? Why haven't I heard from you? Are we going on that? No, those days are done. Like, I love myself and enough to never betray myself again. And that's what you learn when you come out of these narcissistic relationships. It's you can't see, like I said, you can't see what you can't see. You can't know what you can't know. And I am personally a slow learner. But when I learn, ooh, I've got it. I've got it. And your healing needs for you to get honest. Your healing needs to stop paying so much attention to the narcissist and start paying attention to yourself and your own needs, and looking within, looking to you, looking to God to fulfill the needs that you need fulfilled instead of looking to another person. Aw, thank you, Garden of Love. You know, we all have to learn. Life educates us. And what we learn makes us smarter, makes us healthier, makes us wiser, makes us mature, and makes us unstoppable. And there is nothing that beats, like when you learn this stuff for yourself and you figure this out. It's like that is what builds your strength, because that learning that it comes to you the hard way. And when something comes to you that you've had to work for, that you've had to bust your butt to get, and you've scraped and crawled your way to the truth, and you've sweat blood, proverbially, like you've done the work, you've cried those tears, you've felt that sorrow, you've felt that anger, you've felt those feelings, and you've worked long and hard, and you've stayed up long nights, sometimes not going to sleep at night, because come hell or high water, you're going to get this, because you love yourself. Well, honey, all that learning, all that work, that in itself shows you that you love yourself, and you'll protect that knowledge that you've gained. You will protect it, and you won't let anyone or anything come in between you and yourself and your faith in God and your faith in yourself ever again. And that's what makes you unstoppable. That makes you a superpower. That makes you resistant, because you are so resilient. Thank you, Garden of Love. You're so sweet. Well, I have to say that meeting one narcissist is one too many. But on the flip side, as much as narcissists, they're here, their purpose is to steal, destroy, and unalive us, right? As the Bible says, the enemy comes in to kill, steal, and destroy. But God can turn all of that around. And when you're ready to hear this, as some people in their healing are not ready to hear this because they're still so raw in their pain. Their pain is just so still in your face. But when you're ready to hear this, you'll understand that you can turn what was meant for evil, it gets turned around and used for your good, for your gain. And I've said this many times. And I know at one time I wasn't able to say this. I couldn't say this. I was still so angry and bitter at the narcissist. But now I can talk about it without feeling pain. And I can forgive. Forgiveness doesn't mean, okay, Mr. Narcissist or Miss Narcissist, come into my life again and start doing me dirty again. Yeah, you've got my permission. No, that's not forgiveness. Forgiveness, according to God, is to act as if they never hurt you. That's what letting it go means. But in letting it go, there is a discernment. There is wisdom that remains in you. There is knowledge that remains in you that says, okay, I know who you are because you have done me dirty. You have hurt me before. I don't have any residual pain, but I love myself that I'm not going to allow you to do that to me again. I'm not opening my heart and my mind and my soul up to you again so you can hurt me. That's what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is not like, oh, okay, I forgive you, so come back into my life and we'll just forget everything happened. I mean, that's what I did. 4 years into my marriage, he cheated on me. And because I didn't have the right perspective of what forgiveness meant, but forgiveness is in scripture, so I said to him, I forgive you, because that's what we're supposed to do. And in the light of God, you know, God forgives us of our transgressions, so I forgive you too. Well, that just gave him license to go ahead and do it again. He never showed any changed behavior. He never helped me through. As 4 years into my marriage, like before this, I found out that he cheated. I thought we had a really good marriage. We didn't fight. We got along well. We did things together. I thought he was my forever guy. And I really thought that he was sent from God. And yeah, he was, but not in the way that I thought. And so I said to him, I said, I forgive you. And I even said, we don't have to talk about it again. But when I turned to him for emotional support, it wasn't there. He couldn't give it. And this experience caused me to question myself as a woman, as a mother, as a wife, as a female. I questioned my femininity. I questioned who I was. And I had to deal with that all by myself, but with God as well. But it was a long, lonely road. I had no friends or family. I was isolated and I had to deal with this by myself. And there were many nights I cried myself to sleep. My hair fell out. I was depressed and I didn't want to eat. I wanted to sleep. And the one person that kept me going was our 7-year-old daughter. I had to take care of her. So she, just by me interacting with her, spending time with her, feeding her, making her meals, I had to be there for her, and she helped me. Just that, for that reason alone. But she saw mommy crying. She saw the tears. And now that she's older and young adult, she understands. But back then, those days were horrible. So if you're going to forgive somebody, you make sure you understand what forgiveness is first. Because forgiveness is not, okay, wipe the slate clean so you can do me dirty again. Come on, bring it. I love being your punching bag. Make me cry some more. No, that's not what forgiveness is. That's not God's form of forgiveness. So, I was so naive, and that's what the narcissist preys upon. It's like they spiritually understand, they spiritually see in us what we do not yet see in ourselves, that unconditional love. Because we have yet to apply that unconditional love to ourselves, so we appear weak, or we have some sort of vulnerability, we have some sort of weak spots in our lack of confidence of who we are, and the narcissist is willing to fill in that void for a time as they appear to be the rescuer, as they appear to be the helpmate, the backup, the love of our lives, the knight in shining armor to whisk us off and take us where we need to go, off into the sunset. But it's short-lived. And you'll learn that as time goes on and you see the narcissism for what it really is, you learn that God allowed this to happen because the narcissist, God turns around what the enemy uses for evil, God turns around and uses for your benefit and for God's gain, as the narcissist's ways are used to help you so you can see your own errors, your own bad behavior, your own behavior that doesn't serve you and doesn't serve other people, like enabling, like infantile regression. Yeah, exactly. Garden says, yes, this is so weird that they do see something. We, the narc, and we are a total misfit. Yeah, it's like the narc the narcissist sees us as being weak and quirky, and at first they see that as, okay, this is, like I said, they see some strengths in us, and they see that as a challenge. They like that about us because they also witness our vulnerabilities, as we have no problem getting vulnerable. Like, I have no problem getting vulnerable with people, and I actually use some of my vulnerabilities that no longer bother me. I use those vulnerabilities right away to help me determine if I'm dealing with a narcissist or not. And they see our weak areas where we have a lack of attention for ourselves, in the way that we're not just quite confident, we're not quite there yet and strong in that emotional confidence to help us propel us in the direction of life that we need to go. We're still dependent on the narcissist or somebody in some way. The narcissist sees that and exploits that and takes advantage of it. But God exploits the narcissist as when we are discarded, when we are left in emotional ruin, where we're just so tied up in knots and we're inside out, turned sideways and upside down, and we just don't know where to turn. And God has us turn these eyes inwardly to find the light inside. And God uses the narcissist's behavior to help us see our own wayward behavior. and we look at our PTSD, our complex PTSD, our fawning, our enabling, our cognitive dissonance, our trauma bond, our ruminating, our dependence, our enabling, our forgiveness. And God even shows us how our empathy was weaponized against us as we ignored ourselves and applied all our empathy onto the narcissist, and we ended up hurting ourselves as we became apathetic towards our own needs. God says, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought, which means that we are allowed to think of ourselves as highly. We are allowed to be proud of ourselves. We are allowed to give ourselves a pat on the back. We are allowed to be confident. We are allowed to say, I can do this. We are allowed to say, hey, I love me. I like me. We are allowed to say, hey, no, I don't want that type of relationship for me. That's not conducive for my needs. That doesn't work for me. No, we're allowed to say that. We're allowed to say, hey, I am better than this. And we're allowed to say, hey, I am not meant to be anybody's doormat. I am meant to be God's child, and God's child lives a certain way. God's child has certain expectations in life that have to be met, and God's child is also served. As God says, the scorpions and snakes are to serve us, but we don't lord it over them. We just rejoice that our name is written in the Lamb's book of life. We can have people serve us, not in a toxic, narcissistic way, but in a way where everybody benefits. That sounds like a pretty good world to me to live in, right? So if you guys have questions, comments, or suggestions, maybe you guys have myths of your own about narcissism. Maybe I'm sure there's lots of myths, and we've covered a lot already in tonight's video. So if you guys need help, you're welcome to email me. And it's nice to see a lot of newcomers. Thank you, Garden of Love. It's nice to see you, and I hope to see you again. If you guys haven't checked out my video channel, Positively Spiritual, I invite you to do so, and comment and give a like on the videos that you do like, and on the videos that don't resonate with you, I invite you to comment and share with me what I can do better and what you would like to see in videos. What kinds of topics are out there that are not being fully addressed? What kinds of topics from a psychologist's point of view that you feel need more information on? Let's dig into this, because this isn't just my channel. This is our channel. We're here to grow. This is our healing hub where we come together and dive in spiritually, cognitively. We get down and really ask those hard-hitting questions. We do the deep dives. And I'm not beyond saying, hey guys, I don't know, I'm going to go do some research, or I'll research on a live with you. I've got my computer here. We can do this. We can discover things together. We're here to learn, because we are family. We are one, as we're united by one spirit under one house, the house of God Almighty. So on this channel, you're not going to see denominations. I don't subscribe to denominations. we subscribe to the Word of God, and that's what we share here on this channel. So welcome. It's been really nice to see you, and it's been nice getting to know you and sharing ideas and viewpoints. Thank you for subscribing, Garden of Love. I appreciate it. Yeah, I look forward to seeing you more as I try to do these lives every night. So sometimes I'm not able to, but I will be back here tomorrow night at about 9:30, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I hope to see you then. So for now, I'm going to say goodnight. And I hope you guys have a wonderful night and blessings to you. And hope to see you soon. Okay, good night, everyone. Blessings. Bye-bye. Thank you again. It's nice to meet you. Bye-bye.